Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of these two little guys right here from Knives. Well, actually from Civivi Knives, which is Knives using another name because they hate us or something. But this is the Civivi Baklash and the Praxis right here. First off, though, I want to thank very much my buddies Frankie and Bert, who actually sent these little guys along. They got them from Civivi, whoever the hell they are. They got them from them and decided, you know, hey Nick, these are nice. You're gonna want to take a look, and indeed they are, and I did, so that was great. And they actually ended up donating this guy to the channel, which is really kind of them. Thanks, Frankie and Bert. Next thing, let's do some size comparison right quick. These are not small knives. Here they are against the Spyderco Delica. So you can see here, Delica's looking awfully small. Here it is against the Ontario Rat number 1 in the D2 steel, and here it is against the Ontario Rat number 2. And so you can see, yeah, he's a pretty beefy little guy. And actually, I'll do a quick measurement on both of them here. We'll measure this guy up. Comes in around 3.75. This guy's coming in around 3.5. So there you go. And then they're actually a little bit on the thicker side. You can see here because, well, they've got not only the liners, but they've got the G10. Hey, dominoes. So there you go. There's that. Next thing, Civivi. Like I said, this is a new brand from Knives that is emphasizing budget sorts of stuff. So they're using relatively poor steels and things like that, but they're doing really cool work. And so keep an eye out for those in the future. And then finally, one quick note. The backspacer on the Praxis here has been swapped and slightly modified. It was originally black. Now it is, they swapped, Frankie and Bird, that is, swapped out for a tan one. So, you know, they keep that in mind. The one you'll see in the final version will actually be black. So there you go. Let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of your Civivi here, Backlash and Praxis. So on the good side, to start with, disassembly was very easy. These are budget-friendly bearing knives, and any kind of a bearing knife is going to need to be taken down to be maintained, and they've made it quite easy to do that. No problem at all. So I appreciate that very much. That's something that you really have to get right on the budget end because, well, you know, especially if more of these are getting out into more hands, you don't want to be relying on a service department, something like that. So that's good. Next thing, fit and finish-wise, these are actually both great. I mean, overall, they're exceptionally well done. Both of them are scented. Both of them have nice actions. Both of them, things are just remarkably well done here. There's really nothing I can point to. I mean, okay, the blades are maybe a little over-polished, but I don't care at this price. So the fit and finish, the construction on these guys are very, very excellent. They're on or above par for everything else at this price, so that's great. Next thing, both of these guys have a polished liner on the inside there. I mean, you saw it on the disassembly here for the Backlash, and by the way, I only did a disassembly for the Backlash because they're very, very similar knives. Didn't feel worth doing for both, but nevertheless, you see that beautiful polished blue liner, and it really does add a level of visual intrigue that had this just been, you know, black liners, or even had it just been the G10 covering all, this adds something to it. And so I like that very much, and I appreciate that they're doing that. Next thing, as you saw, both of these guys, you saw in the assembly, that is, both of these guys have some pretty heavy skeletonization of the liners, and actually that's good because it means that the balance points are around where you'd like them to be on these guys. A little bit more so on the Praxis here, but nevertheless, these guys have nice balance, and part of how they achieved that was with that pretty aggressive skeletonization. So, no arguments there. In the hand, both of these guys are pretty good to go. Especially choked back on this guy. On the Praxis, it's pretty solid, ergonomically speaking, and the Backlash really locks in, especially with this thumb ramp, with the jimping up here. Oh, man. So, ergonomically speaking, these are doing pretty good. There's a little bit of a hot spot on this guy off the clip, but I really can't complain ergonomically speaking on this guy. Then finally, on the good side, the blades on these guys are really nice. The steel on them is absolutely not stellar. We are looking here at a 9CR16 MOV. I'm sorry, 9CR18 MOV. It's got 2 more MOs there, people. But nevertheless, I mean, it's a steel. But the thing is, they are ground just beautifully. If we look here, you can see just how thin behind the edge these are. These cut very, very well. And because it's using a steel like that, they're relatively easy to sharpen back up, which is good because you're going to be doing a fair amount of it. But look, the blade shapes are pretty good too. You get some nice belly here. A little bit of flat portion, a nice tip on these guys. Tip is reasonably strong, not too fragile, but nevertheless, and here you get some flats and bellies. I mean, the blades are just absolutely great, and frankly, the stock on them is quite reasonable. There's not like overly crazy thick stock, so I appreciate the blades on both of these knives. They cut well, and they're good companions in that way, and so to me, all of that is the good, is that they've got these nice blades, got good ergonomics, heavy skeletonization, some polished liners, great construction, great fit and finish, and some pretty easy disassembly. Oh, and ambidextrous clips. I didn't mention that, but it's a thing. So that's all the good to me. What's great about these guys, as you've probably noticed, is the flipping action. So here, I'm completely stabilizing my wrist. No wrist at all. Boom. These fire out amazingly. I mean, seriously, these fire out as well as, again, stabilized. Absolutely 100% reliable deployment. The action on these knives is, being completely honest with you, pretty amazing for the price you're paying. This is an action that I would easily expect from a knife that's over $100, and especially it's not like they're using super thick blades to cheat out a really good action. This is a really, really nice action. Yet the amazing thing, and maybe what could also be considered great, and so this is kind of a doubly great thing, is that these are $42. That's really impressive. I mean, seriously, the fact that you are getting an action that could be very acceptable in a $100 knife, $150 knife for $42, that's astounding. And so honestly, what I like most about these guys is that combination of the action and that price. The action is saying, this is why you want to buy a Wee knife, and the price is saying, but you can buy one right now. And that's really amazing. You are getting something that feels every bit like a Wee knife here in terms of action, in terms of execution, and just in general, and you're paying $42 for it. And so that combination is absolutely just killer. Absolutely well done here. So to me, that's what's great here, is that you're getting a really high-end action that's worthy of any Wee knife, but you're only paying $42 for it, which is a really aggressive price point here, and very impressive. So there you go. On the bad side, you know, I gotta be honest with you, we didn't need another brand here. I mean, call them Wee Light, call them cheap-ass Wee, I don't freaking care. We with the bad steels, whatever, but all we really needed was another Chinese sub-brand. Guys, come on. Look, I get they want to differentiate the but that starts to bug me a little bit. We have too many things, and already I need a freaking flowchart to keep track of how all these companies are related to each other, but okay, whatever, that's completely unnecessary. I digress, but still, please, no more brands, no more sub-brands. But nevertheless, they're pretty clear that this is coming from Wee eventually, so anybody with any knowledge of the knife industry can put two and two together, but still, it seems weird. But, okay. Next thing, these are both a little bit on the heavier side, because they've got these full steel liners here. Your Backlash is coming in at 3.95 ounces. 3. That's a number 3. That's a big difference there. And your Praxis here is coming in at 4.3 ounces. So you pay a little bit more for the bigger blade there. But nevertheless, they're not like crazy, but they're also a little bit on the heavier side. Particularly this guy feels it. So there you go. Next thing, they're both a little on the large side. Pardon me, guys. You know that this is a larger line. They are planning to do more and more things, but right now, everything they've been doing is in that 3.5-inch sort of range, even a little bit bigger. I'd love to see them try something a little bit smaller in the Civivi lineup for the folks who may be budget conscious, but also legally conscious and dealing with a stupid law in their region. So that's something to keep in mind. And then finally, on the bad side, the steel is where you pay the price here. They are using 9CR18 MOV. And in fact, in a recent interview with Knife News, like recent as in yesterday, it went live, Wee Knives European rep, also Civivi's rep, I guess then, said, and I quote, "Some buyers still have the perception that 9CR18 MOV is not as good as D2 or VG10, for example." End quote. Yeah, some people also have the perception that water's wet. Yeah, of course it's not as good. But the thing is, look, I get it. Something's got to give in order to hit these kinds of price points with this kind of action. I get that. I'm not going to drag them too far over the coals for that. But that is absolutely the downside here. I mean, if these were in a good quality D2 or even, frankly, VG10, I would be outside screaming from the rooftops about the, well, okay, I probably wouldn't be because I'd look even crazier than I already do. But still, still, I mean, that's where you're taking the compromise here. They've done everything else right, but then they cut a corner someplace, and they needed to, probably to hit these prices, and that turns out to be where they did. They are talking about upgrading more of the lineup to VG10, and by the way, when you're talking about upgrading to VG10, hey. But nevertheless, that's definitely where you're paying the price, and I think some buyers' perceptions are right on par here. I mean, they're fine knives, but you got to enjoy shopping because you'll be doing it a fair bit. And so to me, that's what's bad here, is that the steel is definitely what had to give to get this kind of a price point. They are a little bit heavy, a little bit large, and I am just not a fan of the fact that they made yet another sub-brand when they could have just been, I don't know, but that may just be my own frustration at this point trying to keep track. On the ugly front, honestly, there's nothing particularly ugly about these guys. These are astoundingly well done, and actually that just leads me into my final conclusion, which is that these are astoundingly well done. I mean, look, there is a reckoning coming, I think, in the budget knife space. I mean, when Rake, whatever, first jumped in and started dropping these knives that were just these incredible flipping actions with really, really good, I mean, it started to get like concerning, like, oh, if this becomes a trend, we're going to have trouble. Then Real Steel jumped in and started doing it. Tangram from Kaiser did. And now We Knives is doing this too. And now it's just kind of like the truth. This is now what a $40 knife is. Like, flat out. Between the Ruwaiki Hussa, which was an incredible knife at $42, between Tangram's stuff, and now with these guys, this is it. And that is amazing. This is showing us, and all of these knives are showing us now that you don't need, for instance, to cheat out a good action using an assist if you want to pay $40. I mean, that used to be the case for a long time. If you want $40 for a knife, you're going to be getting an assist in there because, well, that's kind of how we have to cover for the rest of it. No, that's no longer a factor. These are beautiful, unassisted flippers with absolutely stellar actions. You don't need to tolerate things like poor construction of Teflon washers for $40. You don't need that anymore. It used to be the case. Now you get bearings. Now you get something that's beautifully put together. You don't need to put up with a lazy grind, a poor fit and finish. I mean, heck, for $40, you could have everything but great steel. That's what they keep showing us over and over again. We're seeing this from Best Tech, from Reiki, We, all of these things. You can get it all. You can get a knife that is substantially excellent, and really the only thing that's lacking is the super high-end steel. But the thing is, for $40, nobody's bringing super high-end steel, so you know what? There you go. And now that we're in this situation where this is what a $40 knife is, it's going to be a really tough reality for some companies to adapt to. I mean, once these hit blister packs, once your local sporting goods store has a shelf full of Civivis, I think a number of brands that have been stalwarts in the market are going to have a really rough time of it. I mean, I'll say it again, we may be looking at a future where American brands making stuff overseas just have no ability to compete in the budget domain. I mean, so much of what they're putting out is just clearly like, wow, this is just a lot of corner cutting, or wow, they went with the cheapest factory they could find. Whereas with these, it's just like, these are just good knives with a steel that needs maybe an upgrade if you want to pay more money. That's not what these guys are doing, and so that's amazing. We are living in a very exciting time in the budget knife making world where this is $40. It's like, whoa. Holy crap, that's amazing. But all of that is not actually about these knives. Talking about the knives themselves, look, the knives are great. The construction on them is stellar. The quality is good. The blades are very nice. There were good details, a great action. Everything that they've done about these knives, they've done really well. I'm not looking at this thinking, oh, they cut a corner there, or, oh, man, the factory really screwed them over here, or, oh, man, they need a new factory. No, it's just, it's well done. And as a result, these knives feel better than a $42 knife has any right to feel. Honestly, looking at these guys, I would have guessed something closer to 60 or 70 price-wise. The steel definitely knocks it down a little bit, but honestly, they're really, really nice. I mean, sure, I've got some gripes. I'd love to see them move the steel up, you know, just a little bit in the line, but for $42, honestly, these are gems. I mean, they feel more expensive than they are, and they're providing somebody with a limited budget with a taste of a high-end experience. I mean, seriously, you get one of these guys in hand, and you're just like, oh, that's why people like these high-end pieces. And honestly, that's brilliant. This is a brilliant plan for We Knives. It's like, try a Civivi, and then you'll realize that you can get one that's even nicer in the blade, in the materials, etc., from the same people. If you love what we're offering here, you're going to love what we're offering there. And so you sell them the budget piece, and then you show them something to aspire to. This is going to make them a lot of freaking money. But, you know, they are substantially good knives. They are clearly gems, and they're really, really, we are in a lucky time, or we are lucky to be in the time we are in the budget knife game. Of the two of these guys, I am very slightly preferring the Backlash, partly because it's a little bit lighter and a little bit smaller, partly because it's a little bit less belly on the blade, but both of them are absolutely good to go. I like both of them a lot, and, you know, it really depends on what your life and your needs are going to be, and there are other models out of Civivi too. There's a Naja, there's some other stuff out there, but I think I would go with this guy, but both of them are quite good. But ultimately, I guess my conclusion is if you're looking for a lot of knife for relatively little money, and you don't mind doing a little extra shopping with the steel, then I think the Civivis are a vivid illustration of what we has to offer you. Okay, hope this has been interesting, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful and budget-friendly rest of your day. Bye now.